Welcome to the BJ Show. Let's rock and roll. Rock and roll. Come on, everybody. Let's lose control. Brad and John, they're the ones to follow. Yeah, ready for the ride. It's the BJ Show. BJ Show.
It is the BJ Show, and this is the BJ Show for Wednesday. It's Hump Day. There used to be a good deal at Burger King for the Whopper, but now it's $1.50 more expensive than it used to be for Whopper Wednesday. It's the John and Brad Show, the JB Show, and here is the star of the show. Good morning to you, John Combest.
For posterity's sake, it's the BJ Show. Brad comes first, and I'm a little bit disappointed, Brad. In fact, outraged that you would plug Burger King and not McDonald's. You know, McDonald's has this new BOGO special going on. You're up on this, right?
Yeah, but you know what? I'm a little bit disappointed in McDonald's lately. I have to be honest with you. I mean, quite honestly, I'm a little bit disappointed in all the places except the tried and true White Castle. They just keep doing what they're doing, but that's a whole other story. John, you getting me sidetracked already? We're just into the show.
I know. That's part of the point. And let's face it. The real reason you're mad at McDonald's is because you like to go into McDonald's and you like to distract the employees behind the counter with 30 minutes of small talk. But when there's no counter, you can't distract them from doing their jobs.
I was going to say, John, go to the one on Mid-Rivers Mall Drive. There is no counter anymore. It's gone. There's nobody to talk to. It's like just isolation. It's like going to eat at jail. Okay. Did I say this is December, or excuse me, I keep saying December, January 15th.
You said it's 3 months until tax day. That's how you started, Brad.
Yeah, something
and you're
like
saying
that.
You're already selling your plasma.
Right. January 15th, 2025. This is A Block. Now, normally, I would not dilly-dally. I would not do anything to delay. I would go directly in to this guy right here.
I'm Casey Kasem.
He didn't say that very loud. Let me try it again.
I'm Casey Kasem.
But I have very important news that I've teased John off air with this, and he's like with bated breath, whatever the hell that means. You ever wonder with these sayings, what does bated breath mean? Do you have like...
It means that it means you're a fisherman, and before you reach into the minnow bucket, you breathe on the fish to give them a little extra oxygen. You didn't know that, Brad?
I guess that's what it is. Okay, John is always accusing me of not promoting the show, right? I mean, we do our best on social media and stuff like that, right? You've said that.
Yeah, you're right. I do my best on social media. You're right.
Okay. Tomorrow, we start our Billboard campaign.
Very nice, Brad. And you worked out a deal with the cemetery in Drury, right? I don't mean to preempt your announcement, but go ahead.
Yeah, we're going to be on the 3 billboards they tore down in the Washington Park Cemetery. No, we are going to be on several billboards starting tomorrow. And what I did was to really kick the Westplex area in the butt. We are going to be on the billboard, westbound 70, right as you come across the bridge. Sits up there, what used to be called Three Flags is now the heart of St. Charles County Banquet Center. Then the second billboard we're going to be on is on westbound 70, right there at the Cave Springs exits, right next to the chicken place. You know what the chicken place is, and we're not talking about chicken to eat. We're talking about the quack quack quack. You know the dirt cheap cigarette things.
Yeah, of course.
The chicken guy. And then the third one is further along westbound 70 out there toward Highway K, starting tomorrow.
Now, is this a gag, or are you serious about this?
I'm serious. Matter of fact, what I'll do is I'll send you the artwork, which I did.
Yikes. Now, will we have time to fix the misspellings before they go live tomorrow?
Unless I misspell Brad and John, there's nothing else to proofread because, hold it. I just looked at the proof. Oh, it says Bard and Janot. You're right. I did make it wrong. No.
Brad, that's fantastic. Well, you could be a bard. You're a bit of a singer, right? And a poet.
Right.
You could be a bard. Brad, if this is accurate, this is amazing. If you're still not yanking my chain, this is fantastic.
I'm not, John. I'm not. This is for real. Matter of fact, what's interesting was I'm doing something new, and I did sort of a test on it the week before last, and I bought some billboards for Westplex Chamber, which I'm promoting, and it worked out very well. Matter of fact, it worked out much better than I thought it would, and I actually got a couple people that say, hey, I saw your billboard for your new chamber. So it starts tomorrow. And once again, it's just in St. Charles County, but we might expand it. But this is a test, the idea being that we're going to try. And the interesting thing about this is I will say this, and I will say it loud and proud. Once upon a time, the radio stations, all radio stations, back when I first got in the radio business, we promoted the crap out of ourselves on outdoor, meaning on billboards, and also now what would be called, I mean, there's the whole new thing. It's called OOH. Have you heard of this before? You know what OOH is? Out of home, okay? So that encompasses billboards and transit advertising. And in some markets, I don't know if you know this or not, in some markets, the Uber drivers have digital billboards on the top of their cars. Have you ever seen this before?
Yeah, I have seen that.
Yeah, we don't have it here in St. Louis. I don't know why, but in some markets they do. So this is OOH advertising. And the point I was making is there was a time when the radio stations promoted the daylights out of themselves on local media, on television, on, billboards and things like that. John, when's the last time you saw a billboard for a radio station?
Never. I can't think of the last. Probably KHTR in the 1980s.
Right. Okay. They just don't do it anymore, which is sort of crazy because when we're out promoting our radio station, we tell clients, hey, you got to advertise to promote your business. Well, guess what? We don't advertise to promote our business. So I'm starting this tomorrow. And not a joke. Matter of fact, in the break, I will send you the artwork. There's two different ones. They're basically the same. The logo's on the left side where it says the Brad and John logo. And then one of them has Brad and John in big letters, and then it has the web address below, bjshow.co. And the other one has...
Okay. We'll probably need to talk about that. Yeah, because we'll want to make sure that site looks presentable. We're going to send people there. So there goes the rest of my day. Okay, that's awesome, Brad. That's good. I'm glad we're sending people there now.
What now? What? I missed something. What did you just say?
No, I'll want to, like bjshow.co. I don't think it's ready for folks to. I don't think we wouldn't want people to go there today. So I cut off the web address when I put it on YouTube because the website's really not up to par now. But I can spend the entire rest of the day fixing that website if we're going to start sending people there.
Why isn't the website up to par?
Well, if you go there, there's not a whole lot of, there's not like show recaps and things like that. I'll need to spark, I could spend another 20 minutes a day.
John, you know what?
Fixing that. That's awesome.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
You're getting too close to this. Because.
Yeah. Well, Brad, we can talk about it. I don't want to send people to a domain that's not really functional, but listen, this is awesome, Brad. This is fantastic news.
Every day I work in that domain, it's not functional. Okay, I'm not exactly sure what's going on with this. Okay, we'll move on. We bring in this guy right here.
I'm Casey Kasem.
And what does he do? He counts them down, and John starts off with...
In third place...
Some news out of St. Louis Public Schools last night, Brad. A member of the St. Louis Board of Education, a woman named Sadie Weiss, left the meeting. She resigned abruptly. Now, we've talked about this at length, Brad. There is a state audit going on of St. Louis Public Schools. We've talked extensively about Miss Keisha Scarlett, some of the spending snafus that have gone on. This now former board member, Sadie Weiss, says that she isn't getting any answers about some of the spending that went on, some of the credit card spending that went on, and that the district, members of the school board itself, are not being transparent. She says she wants nothing to do with this mess. She essentially says that it's irreparable, and she's resigned her spot, Brad. And this is on the heels of the president of the St. Louis Board of Education saying that he is not going to come back next year. He's done. He's washing his hands of it. Excuse me. He's the board vice president. He said that he understood Mrs. Weiss's decision to leave and that he is not seeking re-election in April. So for a story that got bad, Brad, seems to be getting even worse.
Every time I hear this about the city of St. Louis and now what's going on, the big stories in the cities, I would say the big three stories in the city of St. Louis, tell me if I'm wrong. I'm not in any order. Board of Education, the educational thing with the whole meltdown, the situation with crime. And now if you heard the city residents talk about the fact it's been, 11, 12 days now since the snow and nobody's seen a plow in their neighborhood. So once again, move to the Westplex. Move to one of the great 8 communities, St. Charles, St. Peter's, O'Fallon, Darden Prairie, the rest of them. Move there. Join the Westplex Chamber of Commerce, and you won't have to worry about things about people who are supposed to be educating your kids instead taking trips to, where were the trips again to? They were all over the country.
All over. Every they made a few stops in Chicago to to do a birthday party. Don't forget they went to Japan and had a sushi tasting too, Brad.
And it was the Hooters in Columbia and Top Golf in Chesterfield.
Yeah.
Like, that's really helping the kids learn their 3 R's, right? Okay, on to number 2.
Up a notch to number 2.
You can rest easy, Brad. St. Louis city leaders, led by Mayor Tashara Jones, had a press conference yesterday and informed us all that crime is down in St. Louis. I know that you were worried about this, Brad. The headline from the Post-Dispatch via Mark Schlinkman and Josh Renaud is Mayor touts crime drop in St. Louis, but shootings, injuries rise. So, Brad, depending on how you look at these statistics, as reported by the city themselves, the number of murders declined about 6% from 160 to 150. However, we've seen other crime increase. I should also point out too, Brad, that the local decline mirrors crime trends seen across the country. Now, Mr. Schlinkman and Mr. Renaud point out that the number of national murders actually declined faster than the number of murders in St. Louis. So if you look at it nationwide, you could say that St. Louis underperformed in terms of reducing its number of murders. So, Brad, this goes back to the fact that Tashara Jones is up for election, and she's going to do whatever she can to show, originally she said that we were in the middle of a renaissance. Most recently, she says we're on the cusp of a renaissance. But her point is there's a renaissance, Brad, and she's pointing to some crime numbers here, as reported by her own administration, I guess you could say, that say, hey, things are getting a little bit better. Now, a key quote, Brad, is from Michael Butler. He's the recorder of deeds. He's running against Tashara Jones for mayor. He says, many in the public don't believe the mayor's crime stats, nor do they feel them in their neighborhood. So I guess the point is, Brad, you could have a mountain of stats showing some sort of facts and figures about burglary and homicide and shootings. But if people believe that crime is continually getting worse, that's pretty much all that matters in politics, right?
Well, it's the observation and not necessarily the realization. So you know what I'm saying? I mean, as far as that's concerned, and that's that's exactly what you're saying. You're observing the fact that, well, it sure doesn't seem like crime's down, but yet the realization is they're saying, the interesting thing, you said something else. You said that once upon a time she said that we're in the middle of the Renaissance. Now we're on the cusp.
So she dialed that back a little bit.
I was going to say.
And here's my speculation. To say that St. Louis was in the middle of a Renaissance, and then you have all the news that's happened in the last year, and then you dial it back and say, okay, pause. Maybe we weren't in the middle of a Renaissance, but we're on the cusp of a Renaissance. Because if you say we're in the middle of a Renaissance, then people look around and say, this is the worst Renaissance ever. But if you say cusp, it's forward looking. Join me. We're just about to get there. That homeless boyfriend of yours who's a grifter who plays in a rock band, he's just about to make it. He's on the cusp of greatness. Dump some more money and affection into him, Brad, and he's going to turn it around.
You know what, John? You always put a good spin on things, but that's pretty much the way it is. And once again, we talked about this, was it yesterday or Monday, about who's Patricia Keaton, who used to be on, she was with the Sidekick, and she was the one on, she was the wife of Ray Romano in his show. Isn't she the one, Patricia Keaton?
Yeah, I think so, yep.
She moved to Nashville. And she talked about this because of the fact that she's trying to help a lot of her friends who had their houses burnt down in the LA fires and things like that. And she's talking about, Nashville, Tennessee has no state tax and the people here are friendly and there's very low crime. It's like, okay, at some point in time, and especially with all the fires going on and all the ineptness of all the elected officials, especially the mayor, who now has essentially, have you heard the latest where she's saying she's getting undue criticism because of her race? Have you heard this one?
Oh, no, I didn't hear the race card story yet.
I'm going like, okay, come on. Let's just use the race card, as you said, to the point where to deflect the fact that it's just messed up. And the crazy thing about it was I delved more into that thing about the Palisades Reservoir, which was empty because of the fact that why was it empty? Well, it needed maintenance, and they shut it down because they had to do the maintenance on it, but it takes a long time to go through the bid process till they can get somebody to fix the reservoir. Ah, man, I'll tell you what, it's just frustrating. Okay, ready for number one?
I am.
The number one.
Some back-to-back stories about Missouri's pro-choice, pro-abortion, whatever you want to call them, community. Brad, you frequently point out that Republicans tend to fight amongst themselves. Conservatives fight amongst themselves in Missouri. And I steadfastly point out that 30 years ago, Democrats in the supermajority were fighting amongst themselves too. It turns out that battles among activists aren't limited to the right wing, Brad. And in fact, today's Post-Dispatch, Michelle Moons from the Post-Dispatch, Munns, however you want to call it, Michelle Munns has a piece about, she's done back-to-back stories in the Post-Dispatch, Brad. The first one, which appeared yesterday, was a glowing tribute to the brand new CEO of Planned Parenthood, Great Rivers. And the woman's name is Margot Riphagen, and she was elevated to be CEO of Planned Parenthood in this region. You know, it's such an important time for pro-choice people, Brad, because Amendment 3, and how are they going to implement it? But then Michelle has kind of a downer of a story. A woman who has been the face of Planned Parenthood, Great Rivers, abruptly announced her resignation. Yes, the woman's name is Dr. Colleen McNicholas. She's been the chief medical officer at Planned Parenthood, Great Rivers, for many years. She's been the face of activism when it comes to Planned Parenthood. And Brad, she has just decided that she's had about enough. Now, it looks like, you know, she put out a nice statement, but she said, my work is far from done, and I hope that many of you will join me as an opportunity to challenge the conventional wisdom that has brought our progressive causes to its knees. And if that seems curious, you think, wow, shouldn't pro-choice people be really happy? Like Amendment 3 passed. But Brad, what you may have missed is that a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, in that time period, there was a huge fight in the pro-choice community about what Amendment 3 should look like.